See, this is actually I wanna dig into this because okay, you saying that you can see the particles of what people are. Yeah, I believe you because that's Karnataka. That is an acceptable for me. I'm not like a Karnataka master or anything. I've looked at things and see they vibrate with some practice of Karnataka, right? But yeah, it's completely feasible to me that if someone, especially a very spiritual someone, which the most spiritual people are the most like, nope, I'm able to do it type thing, like you. So yeah, I'm not surprised. It's a pretty reasonable extrapolation of what I myself have experienced. That's the other thing of why I'm talking about this the light is because I know that everything's about a pillar of divine light coming down on us, and that's actually the basis of a lot of ceremonial magic. The reason why I'm so interested in your vision is because I see the other end of it. I see the light coming to me, and I visualize it. I do magic with that, and in a lot of ways, I don't want to oversell it, I guess, but it's a big deal. It's a really big deal in magic. So that's why I'm so like, yeah, this is it. Because then that what you're saying, if it's true, and I believe it is very very strongly because it just makes sense. Um, that means that the monad, the middle pillar, um, the monad is emanating what we see as the middle pillar, and also when you do tantra and take energy from the planets, that's also just the monad's light being colored through the planets. Um so I'm gonna say that so that's the other thing is I've also seen things that I've seen in my visions how there is this big series of orbs of stars. So to me, I my guess is that you're seeing a star from which everything is emanating, but it's not the sun. It might be something local between some universes, but I think beyond that, there's still. I think perhaps the synthesis between what I've seen and what you've seen is that all of the interconnected stars are um, part of basically something very. They're all like copies of each other. That would sound a lot like the Vedic, the Vaishnava stuff, and the talk about Vishnu and Krishna. Although I'm pretty sure Vishnu and Krishna are just Syrians. It's just Syrian power. It's just stuff we don't understand because at some level you can go, through extreme yogic powers that aliens have developed over years. In fact, a lot of earlier races are just born really powerful. They came out of existence. They God cooked them powerful. That's just how it is. Um, they are, yeah, they can do things that make them look like God to us, but yeah. Um, I totally get it as far as the whole, you know, um, the whole where everything's equal, everything's the same energy. I personally don't believe that. Um, you know, I don't know what the particulars are of the way you see it, of how much I would agree or disagree with it. I think on some ultimate level we're all the same material, and if I have a ton of content in my mind, in my being, and some other people don't, um okay, as far as the ultimate where everything is one awareness, there is something like that. And okay, sure, at that level maybe it doesn't isn't really that big of a deal who's better or worse. But I think for me, I don't really lean into that a lot because to me it's like um I walk down the street and I see the other people are not as aware as me. And the thing is, I've done tantra, I've done a lot of practices, and I see how the practices I do would kill other people. I've seen it. I've seen the damage that people have incurred from certain practices, and people driven insane over things that to me are incredibly mild. Um, yeah, my conclusion is these people just do not have the level of consciousness that I have because I'm Arcturian, or that you have as a Pleiadian. um, I don't think it's just too many lives of materialization. I think some people just don't have it. I think 40 to 60% of souls on Earth are new souls generated by the animus mundi of the Earth. So, yeah, I just don't think that they have the juice for people, is the same juice that people born on, like Lyra, have. Not to put too fine a point on it or anything. I'm not absolutely sure on some of this. But yeah, I don't believe the whole thing that we're all the same. Or I think part of the reason I have an issue with this though is because I'm pretty sure this is the line of reasoning the elite use in order to like kind of brainwash people that all the bad things don't matter, right? So I think that there's good and bad. And I think the elites very maliciously use this line of thinking, which they themselves don't believe, but probably some Hollywood actors do believe this kind of thing, such as Jim Carrey. But yeah. Yeah, see, white is considered to be Venus. So I think that's interesting because Pleiadians are said to have an outpost on Venus. So that gives me some ideas about things about you in general as well. I do want to say, when you said about magic that it's just a limitation we put on ourselves, for someone like you, probably, because if you have a very direct connection to source, especially now thinking about what I just read from you, that you're of the white light. White light, as far as I've learned, is Venus. Venus is actually really close to Earth, whether by the Platonic or the heliocentric model. So, maybe it has to do with that. I will say magic and certain practices are good for, most people don't have that direct connection. Most people, and, probably you would also benefit from some practices. I can't imagine being able to bypass practices so much. Like when I do magical operations and stuff, it changes things. I will say a lot of times magical operations just give you the awareness of what you should do in your life, but they also put some pressure behind it when you do the action you're supposed to do or whatever. Because if you just do the action just thinking or experimenting, but when you do the magic now, some pressures behind it. The universe wants it to happen because you put your intention behind it. You reinforced it with magic, and also I think this comes up in the discourse about chaos magic a lot. Is, am I just tricking myself into placeboing myself into this, into making this sympathetically occur through manifestation? I think not. I think a lot of things just autonomously are powerful. Like, for example, the pentagram and the hexagram are powerful in the occult. I think they're light codes, and many other scenarios and use cases like that. So that's I wanted to convey that because I think magic is a black box that takes a lot of work to see into, to see through sort of that into that opaque world. I mean, there's a lot of literature out there, but it takes a long time to understand it because there's just so much to know. So I would like to say that a lot of this stuff, there's a philosophy component and then there's a tools component, like goetic beings, for example. Goetic beings work a certain way. They don't work a different way than they work. So, it's not like, oh, I'm just tricking myself into making something occur by imagining this thing. No, it's a certain way, but a lot of people in the magical crowd aren't really that experienced, or they aren't good at it, or they don't want to believe it. They want the effects, but they don't want to believe it, right? Um, so I'm telling you this because okay, you're not a chaos magician that I know of. Maybe you do some witchy stuff on the side. I don't know, but I think I want to explain my view of magic a little bit because I think there's a lot of I think it's a very opaque topic, and I think it's more powerful and philosophical than that. Um, I also wanted to hit on the I wanted to hit on the whole thing of Allah and all these are the same God. I partially agree with that. I think what happens is that certain quote unquote gods will assume onto source and will become sort of the intermediate between source and the beings like Jehovah. I believe Jehovah is Indra or Zeus, and he is just simply the king of the gods. But I think if you take him as an intermediary between you and source, well, first of all, it's very hard for me. Okay, I'm an Arcturian. I'm a person here on Earth. It's very hard for me to without assistance, just reach up to source and just, oh, theoretically I could do it. I think the biggest thing is people don't know. If people knew, it would be a lot more it would be a lot more doable. But even then, most people I think couldn't do it. So then there's yeah. So then I think there's some benefit to having an intermediary. Um, like I would even compare a lot of Catholicism veneration of Mary to, you know, a little bit to Astarte, probably more to Diana. I would compare it to Tara Bodhisattva. I would compare it to Shakta religion. I would relate it to. Okay, it's not new to relate the Mother Mary to the divine feminine the world over, but also I think to say the divine femme is a little bit I think is problematic in the sense that it a little bit is syncretizing all of these goddesses together, and I think Hecate doesn't want to be syncretized with, Kali Mal or the Morrigan. You know what I mean? Like there's I think that all personalities of quote unquote God, or all personalities that are like close to God, there becomes more interconnectedness. I don't think that means they're all the same or interchangeable. And I think that comes into the conversation. I'm just making big philosophical statements about this on different areas. I don't because I think there's a lot of ground here, and I think there's a lot of wrong information or information that's not actually going to help someone. Like I think it's a good philosophical as a philosophical statement. I think it's great to say a lot of things and be more metaphorical and sort of ethereal and kind of vague between deities. You don't need polytheism. I use polytheism because it works. I like it. But you don't need to. I also don't take the inner Christos take seriously of like, oh, all these deities are all Anunnaki. Oh, the Anunnaki. But Katesh has talked about this. I think she actually was the one who she said something about this topic, and I said yes, that's it. That's right. That's what I've been sensing. I just haven't been able to piece it together for myself. That Anunnaki just when people my spirit guides told me I used to be Anunnaki, but it just literally meant aliens back in the day. Okay, sure, that makes sense. And I remember a lot of the human history, and I don't remember a lot. I don't remember a Draco War. Maybe I incarnated here after that and wasn't here before. I remember different wars. I actually don't really remember fighting with Draconians much, but I remember some wars in Orion. I remember wars on Lyra. Just a few snippets, but so yeah, I guess a lot of times on these topics I'll go and I'll talk very much on different dimensions where I'm thinking about these things because to me it's all interconnected. I want to hit it from many sides and talk about what's being talked about because I think too often people just have a different take and then their take isn't in a vacuum. Like the inner Christos. The inner Christos operate in a vacuum and they have a really idiosyncratic viewpoint. And I want to talk about all these different groups because I think a lot of them get something right. But then I think it's not just, oh, what's in the middle is probably correct. It's like, okay, let's do some math here and figure out what's right because, you know, um, first of all, there's some really great traditions that don't get enough press. For one, Urantia is one of them. The raw material gets all the press in the world, but I think it's practically garbage. The Seth material for all, I don't know, it appears to me to be much better, and it got a recommend from a psychic I really respect. So, haven't cracked it open yet. I've watched some talks by Barbara Marciniak, and honestly, like, um, she seems as solid as Ashana Dean, and Ashana Dean saying that, oh, you're talking to the Pleiadians, so it's the Anunnaki, all these dumb New Age channeling people. Seems like a direct attack at Barbara Marciniak, which makes me then doubt Ashana Dean. Then again, the Inner Christos material is so detailed and has so many levels. I think there's something to it, but I think it's also super convoluted. I also wonder if Ashana Dean, if he received so much information, it sort of drove her insane a little bit. I don't know.